Well, third and fourth graders, it may be snowy and cold outside, but I got my coffee, I got socks, I got a good book. Here we go. So we're in the middle of chapter 10, where we have just come across a conductor of a symphony, but Milo doesn't hear any music. I don't hear any music, said Milo. That's right, said Alec. You don't listen to the concert, you watch it. Now, pay attention. As the conductor waved his arms, he molded the air like handfuls of soft clay, and the musicians carefully followed his every direction. What are they playing? Asked Tok, looking up inquisitively at Alec. The sunset, of course. They play it every evening about this time. They do? Asked Milo quizzically. Naturally, answered Alec. And they also play morning, noon, and night, when, of course, it's morning, noon, or night. Why, there wouldn't be any color in the world unless they played it. Each instrument plays a different one, he explained, and depending, of course, on what season it is and how the weather's to be, the conductor chooses his score and directs the day. But watch, the sun is almost set, and in a moment you can ask Chroma himself. Here's the orchestra. The last colors slowly faded from the western sky, and as they did, one by one the instruments stopped until only the bass fiddles, in their somber, slow movement, were left to play the night, and a single set of silver bells brightened the constellations. The conductor let his arms fall limply at his sides and stood quite still as darkness claimed the forest. That was a very beautiful sunset, said Milo, walking to the podium. It should be, was the reply. We've been practicing since the world began. And reaching down, the speaker picked Milo off the ground and set him on the music stand. I am Chroma the Great, he continued, gesturing broadly with his hands, conductor of color, maestro of pigment, and director of the entire spectrum. Do you play all day long? Asked Milo when he had introduced himself. Ah, yes, all day, every day, he sang out, then pirouetted gracefully around the platform. I rest only at night, and even then they play on. What would happen if you stopped? Asked Milo, who didn't quite believe that color happened that way. See for yourself, roared Chroma, and he raised both hands high over his head. Immediately, the instruments that were playing stopped, and at once all color vanished. The world looked like an enormous coloring book that had never been used. Everything appeared in simple black outlines, and it looked as if someone with a set of paints the size of a house and a brush as wide could stay happily occupied for years. Then Chroma lowered his arms. The instruments began again, and the color returned. You see what a dull place the world would be without color, he said, bowing until his chin almost touched the ground. But what pleasure to lead my violins in a serenade of spring green, or hear my trumpets blare out the blue sea, and then watch the oboes tint it all in warm yellow sunshine. And the rainbows are best of all, and blazing neon signs, and taxicabs with stripes, and the soft muted tones of a foggy day. We play them all. As Chroma spoke, Milo sat with his eyes wide, and Alec, Tok, and the humbug looked on in wonder. Now, I really must get some sleep, Chroma yawned. We've had lightning, fireworks, and parades for the last few nights, and I've had to be up to conduct them. But tonight is sure to be quiet. Then, putting his large bow hand on Milo's shoulder, he said, Be a good fellow and watch my orchestra till morning, will you? And be sure to wake me at 5:23 for the sunrise. Good night, good night, good night. With that, he leaped lightly from the podium and in 3 long steps vanished into the forest. That's a good idea, said Tok, making himself comfortable in the grass as the bug grumbled himself quickly to sleep and Alex stretched out in midair. And Milo, full of thoughts and questions, curled up on the pages of tomorrow's music and eagerly awaited the dawn. We will see what happens in the dawn on Monday. Have a great weekend. Socks says goodbye. Hopefully you and your Beanie Babies are going on some crazy adventures, doing all kinds of things, making sure they're staying out of trouble. That's important. All right, I will see you later.